What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of OBR Game Tape. I hope you're having a fantastic Monday here on the OBR streaming network. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit that little bell so you know every time we go live. We got multiple shows for you every night of the week, Monday through Friday, and starting in like 2 weeks, it'll be 7 days a week, pretty much. So we will hit you guys every day as much content as we possibly can. We appreciate you so much. This is pre-recorded Sunday night, as always, because I work second shift. I'll try to be in and out as I can. I'm your host, Jacob. I'm joined this week by Mr. Bill Sparks to break down the preseason opener. Bill, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's Sunday night. You know, we just got through week 1 of NFL preseason by this point. I think I can say for everybody, I'm ready for week 2, and I'm ready for some regular season action. And also, we're a couple weeks from week 0 in college football. We made it, man. We made it.
Yeah. Congratulations, everybody.
We're here.
It was like, it really sets in for me, when I turned on the Browns game before kickoff, but when I turned it on and they were just actually on a field, you weren't seeing Joe Flacco, Joel Bitonio, like you didn't see the starters and everything, but like they were there, they were on the field, and you're just like, oh my goodness, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, man. And we're going to start with Shedeur, right? Yep. Like we're going to start with Shadur Sanders and his performance. So he finishes the night with Kevin Stefanski said he was going to get like 50 plays. He played 45, according to Casey Kinnaman. Let me know that he played 45. So he goes 14 to 23 for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. He took a couple of sacks, only lost 6 yards. Had a couple of plays that could have been really devastating sacks. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he went out there. I said very clearly to me, leading into that game, hey, this is the first real test. Yeah, you've been tested in practice, but considering the reps and who you've been going against and since anything, this was a real test. And yeah, it came because there were some injuries, and that sucks for the guys that were injured ahead of him. But all you can do is take advantage of the opportunities that you get when they're in front of you, and I think he did that. So I'll let you go first, man. Just talk about what you thought about Shedeur's night on Friday.
Listen, he went out there and played in a manner that has earned him significantly more reps. So there's two ways about it. Do I think he needs to be QB1 tomorrow? Absolutely not, because there are some glaring deficiencies that I'll cover. But I think if he goes out there against the Eagles this week, he should be getting a little bit of run with the ones, but mostly in that QB2 kind of range against like a Pickett, Gabriel. Those are the types of things you're going to want to look for, because the big things that he did well are the things that he did well at Colorado. Work the intermediate parts of the field, the 11 to 20 yard mark. I mean, you look at his throws, he went 4 of 5 for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns in the intermediate part of the field. He lived there. The short game, the 0 to 9, the easy quick hitter stuff, he was 5 of 11 for 32 yards. So he's got to clean that up. Part of it is just a mechanics thing. Part of it is he just really isn't asked to do that short game from the shotgun. And you and I talked about this Friday night while the game was happening. I was really surprised how much gun they had him in. Granted, Shedeur, he operates better from shotgun, but Kevin's offense is heavily predicated under center. So for them to go away from that, there was a lot of under center involvement. But I mean, it felt like the first quarter was almost all exclusively shotgun. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're looking for bright side, the things that we knew he was going to do well coming out of college, he has continued to do well in the NFL. The things that he needs to work on are still things that he needs to work on. But he passed the test with flying colors. Yes. Going up against live action. There were some glaring issues. The one sack he took where he ran 12 yards in the opposite direction only to come back around and then get a 1 yard loss. That was Colorado 101. The big thing, if I'm him and we're watching the film, I'm screaming, throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. Baby. Dirt it. Like you... If it's not there, dirt it. If okay. You want to scramble for it, and we saw it, I think it was like that third down where he scrambled and got the first down. If you want to scramble for it, go ahead. But if it's not there and you want to scramble, dirt it, move on. Even if it's a 3 and out, we'll live to fight another day.
Yeah, don't run backwards. Yeah, that was the knocks that I really had, were the don't run backwards, and he did it. But he only did it a couple of times. So, like, I will say that, like, I had seen many games in Colorado where he did it more than a couple of times. So that was impressive. I was impressed. There was that Caden, was it the Caden Davis? Yeah, it was the Caden Davis touchdown. He climbed the pocket vertically. Like, he stepped up straight into, he stepped up and invaded a rusher, which was something he did at times at Colorado, but like, he did it really, really well in that situation. And that pass had a little bit of zip on it. There was some ass on that pass. That second one that he zipped in there. But for me, I called it like, it was his first real test, right? I called it his first real test. I gave him a B+ on the article I wrote for the OBR. You can, if you haven't checked that out already, I graded all the rookie performances from this game. I gave him a B+, just because he showed me a couple of things that still concern me with the running around and things like that. Some of the intermediate stuff, I kind of thought that there was some nerves. I think his first pass was high to Deontay Johnson. Like, Deontay, you got to catch that. He's still got to catch that. But Shedeur makes that throw 99 times out of 100 in my mind. So, like, I thought there were some nerves in some situations like that. He had a throw that Dylan Sampson is probably still running. But I'm willing to bet Shedeur is going to beat himself up over those throws more than we will. What did he say in the post game? Like, she said, Aditi said to him, you were mentally sharp. And he was like, no, I wasn't. I was like, oh, shit.
Right. Yeah. He ripped his performance apart like he wasn't mentally sharp. He felt he wasn't ready. And it's like, you went out there in certain parts of the field, like the intermediate part of the field we talked about, you would have had a perfect QB passer rating. Like, you were dealing in certain parts, and other parts, you weren't great, but like, give yourself some credit. But I think that's part of it, and you and I talked about it in the lead up to the draft cycle. He was significantly operating on a different plane from the draft cycle to how he is now. I think that whole process just kind of it humbled him. I mean, being frank, but I think now we're seeing that humbling of, hey, I'm not that guy, but I'm going to work every day to be that guy.
He's worked his tail off. I mean, I said it on the Barking Brown show, which I just recorded, but since this is dropping Monday night, I said this on my show that aired yesterday on Sunday. I've seen improvements from the things that I was seeing from rookie minicamp to what he did on Friday. That's only been a couple of months. And so you can tell, like, he is out there working his tail off and he's impressing. It's a step in the right direction. What I view preseason games as, especially for young guys like this, it's the opportunity to earn more opportunities. And he did that. And that is really, to be completely honest, especially for a day 3 rookie, you can say what you want about he was a day 2 talent, and I agree, but he was a day 3 pick. And for a day 3 pick to go out there and say, hey, I'm putting pressure on you to give me more opportunities. Like, if you give him more opportunities and he fails and he needs to go back to being like the 3rd stringer or 4th stringer for a while, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. But he's deserved the right to at least show that he can go out there and get that opportunity. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. That Luke Floria pass, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, Luke Floria made a crazy catch because he's 5'8". If that's Cedric Tillman or Jerry Jeudy, they might score.
Mm-hmm. That's and to the house.
That was Nick Scorton. That was Nick Scorton barreling down, and he finds a way to just layer a throw. Like, if you talk about layering throws and people are like, what's that mean? It means you're the ability to throw over someone but get it back down before the next layer. So if there's a defender here and a defender here, and you want to drop it in the middle of those defenders, that's a layered throw. And that's exactly what he did. And he just zips it over there. And Luke Flores just like, 30 yards, a casual 30 yards. And I'm like, that first, and then he throws that touchdown to Caden Davis where he rolls to his left, understands, hey, if I'm going to make this throw, I've got to get my hips flipped. I've got to reset my feet. I'm not going to have much time. As soon as my feet are reset, I'm going to have to rip this thing. Boom, bang, boom. And you watch that. I think I've talked to a bunch of people. I don't know if you were one of the ones that said this to me. On the broadcast view, I thought it was picked. It looked like a horrible pass from the broadcast view. And because there's like 3 lions. The blue threw me off. There's 3 Panthers there. And he just, again, in a bucket, just rainbowed up over, down, in there. And as soon as I realized Caden Davis came out of that, I'm like, how the hell did you do that? How the hell did you do that? And like the biggest thing for me was that I wanted to see, I was interested in this, is they talk about Dylan Gabriel being ahead in the whiteboard and in the classroom and in terms of the way he conducts himself in a huddle and everything. So I really wanted to see if the operation was clean with Sanders, and it was. And he operated that NFL offense the way an NFL quarterback should do. And I think I gave it a B+. And I think he earned more reps. I think it's plain and simple as it can be. I sent a Bill Belichick text to a friend of mine, and I said, he passed the test, on to the next one. And that's just kind of how I feel about it.
100%. I think I'm right there with you. I think overall performance, you're looking B to B+, and the only reason I say B instead of a B+, like you said, is that long winding sack, and then the second one that was long winding that was a loss of a yard too. I think if he gets rid of both of those, we're talking B+, A-. But I really would love to see him get some sort of run against the Eagles, because let's be honest, folks, there's Carolinas and then there's Philadelphia's. Even if it's backup, the scales are tipped. So I want to see some run in terms of even against the second teamers, because second teamers for Philadelphia probably start for Carolina. Let's be transparent. So I would love to see that this week. Now, how they're going to play it with Pickett and Gabriel, if they're healthy, and then what run do they give Flacco? Yes, you're not going to see him outside of maybe more than a drive. So that's kind of where it is. But I think he's earned more reps. I think we have to have that conversation going into camp, going into preseason this week.
What was I going to? Oh, did you see the Zach Jackson tweet to Andrew Filipponi?
I saw him say something, which for those who don't know, Andrew Filipponi is predominantly in Steeler headspace, Steeler Twitter, Steeler
He's
news.
A radio host. He's their Ken Carman, kind of.
Yeah, he's a shock jock. More than guys like Ken Carman. Yeah. I think at one point he compared the Pickett to Pickens to like their new what was it? What do you say?
Montana to Rice.
Montana to Rice. Yeah, that was it. And at that point, I just had to hit the mute button.
So when Shedeur came in, he came in and Tony Brown was there with a 7-foot walking stick next to him, which, by the way, love a good walking stick.
100%.
And he was like, Shadur Sanders enters the first game with an entourage. This kid doesn't get it. And Zach Jackson, bless his heart, just the banger of the year. He goes, that's his teammate, you absolute dipshit.
I love it. I saw another tweet that had me dying. It said that Shedeur not only is going to be the Cleveland Browns quarterback, but is somehow going to throw the ring in the volcano.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Walking sticks. Yeah. I was like, that's great. Like, I don't care what happens at this point. Tweet of the year, frame it, put it up on your wall.
Put it in the Louvre. All right, we're going to move on. Let's talk about some other guys on the offensive side of the ball. One thing that I did in titling this episode, we're not doing film this week, guys. I apologize. Sam had some scheduling conflicts, and I didn't get my hands on the film quick enough because I'm writing up my top 10 quarterbacks in the 2026 class over the weekend. I'm only like halfway through. You know how it is. I got 10 up. Normally, I only do like 3 or 4 per article. I'm doing 10 right now. So I've gotten through like Aiden Childs. I just finished Aiden Childs write-up and some things like that. And it's just so I didn't have time to do that. So we're just going to talk through the game in this sense. But the other thing that I titled was that other rookies impressed, because I did feel pretty impressed by some of these rookies. Luke Floria made that one really good catch for 30 yards. He was kind of battling an injury, has a hamstring injury, according to Stefanski said on on Saturday. He had the 30-yard reception. But my guy, if you're an OBR faithful, and I know you are if you're watching this, if you were over at the OBR.com, you heard me talk about Gage Levarden earlier this week as a guy that was making his way into stealing a roster spot, and he did everything. He got like 5 or 6 touches, whatever, but he made a lot of the touches he got. I think he's automatically getting a roster spot because he successfully executed a jet sweep for a touchdown. Yep. And Kevin's been dying to have somebody be able to do that for the entire tenure. He even tried it with Caden Davis for whatever reason. Was it you that texted me that said, did he just try that with slow-ass Caden Davis? Somebody texted me that.
Yeah, that was me. I watched it, and I'm like, hey, Caden Davis, I love him, but he's a 4.55, 4.6 guy. You don't run jet sweeps with that.
No, you run it with Gage Levarden, who's a 4.45 guy. That's so he executes that. He gets a 30-yard punt return, has 2 grabs for 27 yards. I was really impressed by Levarden just because it's like, hey, you're battling it out. There's some wide receiver spots up for grabs, and some people don't want to keep DeAndre Carter because he's shown he can't really do much as a receiver, but he's a great returner. Well, Levarden had a 30-yard punt return. Mm-hmm. And he made his impact on the jet sweep and 2 big grabs. One of Shedeur's best passes on 3rd down, when he's standing in the end zone bearing down, he just rips it to Levarden. And Levarden's just good route runner, good separator, wide open target, really nice pass. But so I wanted to shout out Levarden, and I'll pass it to you for somebody that maybe stood out for you.
Yeah, so we talked about him, earlier on in the weekend, right after the game, just because of the running back depth. But Amani Marshall from App State, dude. I mean, first off, let's talk about what's not going to show up in a stat sheet in his pass protection ability. When Sanders stepped up and Amani Marshall picked up that blitz with ease, like that's NFL caliber pass protection when you get that. And you couple that with, he didn't have the greatest night statistically, 8 carries for 32 yards. But guess what? That's 4 yards. Yeah, it's 4 yards in a cloud of dust.
It's fine.
On top of that, you look at what most of those came on. Most of them came on the outside of the tight end, going in that wide zone scheme that Stefanski wants to run. Not only that, he was moving his feet. There were a lot of times, I remember there was one, he was going right off the center's left shoulder for 6 yards. His feet did not stop when everyone else did. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. That is either you have it or you don't. And with the whole situation around Quinshad Judkins right now, we're staring down the barrel of Dylan Sampson, Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong. Give me Amani Marshall. Give me Amani Marshall. Because here's the thing. Yes, he's not the fastest horse in the stable, but he is the horse. He is the horse that I can rely on. I can put down on 3rd down, whether it's Flacco or Sanders or somebody, and say, hey, we're going to open it up. You're going to stay in and you're going to pass protect. And you can know that he's going to be able to do it effectively.
The thing is, you need a power back. You said he's not the fastest horse in the stable. Well, I've got Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson for that. I don't need him to be that. And again, preseason games, we know, take it with a grain of salt. But Amani Marshall earned a bit more opportunities to prove himself as a result because they need a power back. Tua Tua had a pretty decent game as well. I mean, Marshall had a 11-yard game. Tua had a 12-yard game. Travion Williams had a 13-yard run. They had some interesting. Travion Williams being a veteran, but the other two being, I think Tua's. Is he considered a rookie? Because I don't think he's ever taken.
He's that rookie because he went to the UFL and all.
So the UFL for what, 3 years or whatever.
Yeah, so he's a rookie in the sense of an NFL first year, but it's not his first rodeo in professional football.
Yeah, it's like he's messed around a little bit. Interesting. Just a quick shout out to Brendan Bates, the young tight end. I thought he had a big couple grabs. Also. 100%. Sal Cannella is huge. Why didn't anybody tell me he's like 7? He looks 7 feet tall when he's out there. I was unfamiliar with your game, Sal Cannella. I apologize for that.
I need more Sal Cannella in his life because yes, I get it. He's 26 years old, but you're talking about a dude that's got some serious size to his game. And not only that, like he's not going to be a pass blocker for you. He's not that. No, don't even ask. Hey, like his his PFF grade in pass blocking was a 9, and I don't mean 90 or 19. It was a 9. Like I'm pretty sure if you just let him run by you, you get a better pass blocking grade at that point. But what he does do, and what gives me hope for this offense, he ran a lot of his stuff from the slot. When you look at his breakdown of probably 23 to 25 snaps, 15 of them in line, yes, but about 8 to 10 of them were out of the slot. That power slot role, that guess who's going to get those come week 1? Oh, by the way, it's a rookie that we just got from Bowling Green who excels in that, in Harold Fannin Jr. So you take everything that Sal Cannella was doing offensively, which was really good, extrapolate that to Harold Fannin Jr. and watch that come alive. But Sal Cannella is a guy, he's a fun guy. He's a fun camp guy. He, like Amani Marshall, like Shadur Sanders, has earned more opportunities, because we also have to talk about who's going to be that third tight end behind Njoku and Fannin. Is it going to be Whitehart? Is it going to be Bates? Is it going to be Sal Cannella? Because with the amount of 12 personnel that Stefanski wants to run, they've got to have 3, because you're going to have 2 on the field at given points. So who's going to be that third guy?
You're going to have 3 at given points. Do you want it to be an offensive lineman, or do you want it to be, that guy? This guy's not a rookie, but I wanted to talk about him a little bit. Damn, Luke Whippler played a pretty good game, didn't he?
Man,
I've been wanting it, man. Like when they took Luke Whippler, my first thing was I was still very relatively new to really deep scouting the draft. Like I was always a big draft fan, and I did some mocks and stuff, but I didn't really dive into it super, super deep. That was the year I first started, but I wasn't very hot. I think I really scouted like 75 people that year or something like that, nothing crazy. But I was like, why did he fall? And people are like, well, he's a center only, and his play strength's a little bit. Like he had an 82 pass blocking grade and a 78 run blocking grade in this game and 34 snaps. Like he looked like a dude where, yes, he hasn't played the couple of years that he's been in the NFL, but he's been around it. And you can tell, like, yeah, he's had some injuries. He's been battling back, but like in terms of like knowing what his assignment is, what he's supposed to be doing and things like that, where he's supposed to be, his technique, his hand placement, his footwork, like I think he looks stronger than he did at Ohio State. Like it's not often that a center really grabs my attention, but I was very much like, oh, Luke Whippler's still in there, and they're not having any kind of issues from the center. Because they had some center issues with Ethan Posick last year. So my biggest question has been like, who's going to back him up? Because I'm concerned about his health. If Luke Whippler is healthy, he looks like he can be a solid backup center and potentially grow into something more than that.
100%. And speaking on centers, not only did Whippler have a game, but let's talk about Bucky Williams, man. He was signed
out of nowhere, dude.
Signed out of July 29th. And, oh, hey, by the way, let me just go post 79 pass block and run block ratings at 300 pounds as a center. If you told me tomorrow that they lost Posick for the season and my center depth chart was Whippler and Bucky Williams, I'd say, okay, cool. Let's run it. Because he looks every bit the part of a third string center because he's 300 pounds soaking wet. But he has the ability to move. This is a guy he's going to get out in space. He's going to be able to move, and he's going to be able to do the things that Stefanski wants his centers to do. Of his 35 snaps, I went back and I looked at it all. 1 hurry.
Yeah.
And I argue that hurry wasn't even his. But you know what?
Whether it is or not, it's only 1.
It's only 1 out of 35. You tell me 1 out of you're talking. So that's, you say let's say an NFL team takes 90 offensive snaps in a game.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me my center is going to give up 3 hurries the entire game?
2 or 3.
Cool.
Maybe even 4. Okay.
Right. No sacks, no hits, like one hurry. to where that quarterback has to now step up or slide out of the way into the waiting arms of an Amani Marshall, who's a pass blocker. Great. Wrap it up. But I was pleasantly surprised with how well this offensive line depth looked. And that was a concern. You and I had talked about it post-draft when they didn't really attack it. We were concerned with how old they were getting, and these guys, the Bucky Williams, the Luke Whipplers, they looked really good. Granted, it's Carolina. Okay, let's pump the brakes a bit. But you're also going against Nick Scourton, Princely Uman Mielen. Like, these are guys, you don't shake a stick at these types of edge rushers.
Also, I don't know how it's possible, but Tevin Jenkins got a 0 pass blocking grade. I thought that was a little harsh. He let up like 3 pressures in like 2 hurries, and I was like, you gave him a 0? Like, it wasn't great.
Yeah, it wasn't. Part of it is he only played 18 snaps. I bet if he played a 30, 40 snap load, he'd probably be in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, he got a 0. Yeah. I just didn't know that was possible. I just, like, I'm not going to, like, I like Tevin Jenkins, so I'm not going to pile on him or whatever, but, like, there's some rough snaps there on the pass blocking side. Is there anyone else on the offense before we shift course and talk about the defense?
No, I think we covered everybody, man. But the defense, we have to start with how this defensive line looked, because first off, the first play of the game, they're doubling Mason Graham. I said, "Oh, this is how this night's gonna go. Yeah. This is how this night's gonna go." Because you know good and well, if you come out doubling a player, then that means he was a focus for you in that film room. They said, okay, we are not going to let Mason Graham beat us, which is fine. You can do that in the preseason. But come week 1, you now have, okay, we're not going to let Myles Garrett beat us. We're not going to let Mason Graham beat us. Okay, you're going to double them both. That's 4 of your 5 offensive linemen. And we still have 2, potentially 3 defenders that we can send at your 1.
Joe Tryon could be out there. Malik Collins, Mike Hall when he's healthy, Alex Wright, Isaiah McGuire. One of those guys is getting a lot of open opportunities.
Julian Okawara. Oh, hey, by the way, Carson Schlesinger when we send him on linebacker blitzes.
Aiden Huntington, who had a hell of a day.
Yeah. You can only double so many defensive linemen before you just run out of blockers. And you know what? If you want to do what Pittsburgh's going to do and have 4 tight ends, that's what it's going to take to stop this defensive line at a certain point. You're going to have to go in like 14 personnel and 4 tight end sets. If that's what you got to do, you got to do it. But you're not going to move the ball doing it.
Have you seen this viral Madden clip about Aaron Rodgers yet? Have you seen this?
The hurdle?
Yeah. So, like, apparently the new Madden, which I don't have yet, I'm getting it this week. I get paid. I've been authorized. I can get Madden, so I will have Madden this week. I haven't played Madden in 2 years. I haven't bought it in 3 years. But I just, there's something about it this year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to probably do some streaming on the Twitch so you can watch how bad I am. And I'm probably bad now. That was my thing. Growing up, I was the guy that you were like, I'm going to kick this guy's ass because you were just like this little kid. But I was always, I don't know what it was about Madden. I was just always really good. Probably not anymore. These kids are way better than me at every other video game.
There's some sweats out there because I've got it and I played online, and like my first couple of games, I was the mop to their janitorial staff. I was just getting like 30-0. It was bad. It was bad.
So there's this feature where they like not only tell you what happened at halftime, but during your halftime, it shows you not just the scores of what's going on in your simulated franchise, but everything else. And there's a clip of Aaron Rodgers hurdling a dude on the way to his 80-yard touchdown run.
Yeah. I've seen the clip too, because it's not even just that. Like he comes on a bootleg around the left-hand side, takes off down the field, hurdles a guy, and then runs 80 yards. If that happens in real life, somebody put your hand on the ground because hell froze over. Yeah,
no, get to your bomb shelter, get all your water, all your non-perishables, and get into that shelter.
Like if Aaron Rodgers does any scrambling, it's going to be like 3 yards and a cloud of dust behind that Arthur Smith led tight end. I'm pretty sure if Arthur Smith could have had a quarterback that was a former tight end, like a Logan Thomas, he would have did it. Just run full
I
tight
can't believe
ends.
they got rid of Cordero Patterson because like that's his ultimate chess piece. Like he loves Cordero Patterson. Like that one shocked me.
100%. I thought it was hilarious how he tweeted he got fired on his day off. I was laughing about that, which yeah, you're right. He's his ultimate chess piece. I'm really shocked that someone hasn't made a call. Andrew Barry could use some camp
I would.
depth,
I'd call him.
even just
I'd
as a
call
kick
him.
returner.
Yeah. Well, he's a returner that can play wide receiver and can play run. He's better as a running back, but like he can play all those things. Then you're not just getting a returner that's just a returner. You're getting a returner that can play for your offense.
Mm-hmm.
And in the OBR's Brad Ward, if there's one thing in this world that Brad Ward hates, it's special teams only players. Do not mess with him in the chat tomorrow on the React. Wink, wink. Don't mess with him. Yeah. Don't tell him I told you. If you mess with him, he'll 100% know it was me. All right. Carson Schlesinger, dude. Schlesinger, I have said this when I saw him in person in camp, when I've seen the videos, what I've heard coaches and media members that have been there to everything. He looks the part physically. He showed that. Listen, he had 13 snaps, 6 tackles. So you were talking about nearly 50% of the time he was on the field, he made the tackle or was part of it. In those 6 stops, 4 of them were stop tackles. And for those of you who don't know, PFF defines a stop tackle as a play that means that is a negative result for the offense. So, for example, on 1st and 10, you need to get 4 yards to stay on track for a first down. If it's 3 yards or less on that down, that's a stop tackle. That's a negative play. On 2nd down, you need to get half of the remaining yardage for the first down. So if it's 2nd and 10, you need to get at least 5 yards. Anything less is a stop tackle. Then on 3rd or 4th down, you need to score a touchdown or convert. So 4 of his 6 stops were negative, considered failure plays for the offense. And he decided he was also going to cover Tet McMillan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't love you doing that. Like, don't do that very much. But, like, dude, he was every bit as advertised. And it's like, man, if that is who he grows into in the NFL, he's got the upside to be a very good player if he can get there.
Yeah, and you and I talked about it during our draft lead up. You know, one of the things that I had heard leading into the draft was that there were teams looking at him as a 1st-round caliber linebacker because he was a sideline-to-sideline athletic demon who could do everything you needed him to do.
And he's smart.
And he's smart. He wore the green dot and was, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to cover Tet McMillan. We're going to rush the passer.
8th overall pick.
Yeah. Like 8th overall pick who, for what it's worth, has some size and some length on Carson Schlesinger. If he had given up a catch, anybody would have been like, it's Tet McMillan versus Carson Schlesinger. He looked like he belonged, and I am very excited. I'm disappointed because I don't get to see him next to JOK this year because of JOK's health. Imagine those two together would be just a nightmare for any offense in the NFL. But we are in good hands in that middle linebacker position because the best part, we don't have to keep rotating the green dot. Give it to Schlesinger and let him run.
Dude, I'm so freaking jacked about his performance. Who's next for you on defense?
So on defense, for me, the next one, it's Tony Brown, but not in the way you think.
Okay.
He played well. Not well enough to where I'd start him. Right. But if I needed a depth corner because, say, Greg Newsome goes down or Denzel Ward goes down and we need to get through the game, he can be that guy. He played well. You know, PFF had him with an 83 coverage grade over his 32 snaps. He didn't get really burned too much. Like, there were a few occasional plays where he looked out of sorts and out of position. And part of that is he's just still getting into the swing of things. But he would be a guy that you could say, okay, you need a 4th cornerback on your roster. He's that guy. The flip side to that, and this is what concerns me, I am not confident in any way, shape, form, or human emotion possible about Cam Mitchell as the nickel. And I would love to say, yeah, Tony Brown can handle that nickel, but I'm not confident in Tony Brown being a starting corner in the NFL, even at the nickel spot.
And let me ask you this. I'm more of the belief that maybe it needs to be Devontae Casey or Rayshon Jenkins, potentially, at least to start the season if Mitchell can't be that. Because when you look at what's available, it's mostly outside corners. So in my mind, it's like, why don't you get another depth corner? I don't want to move Greg Newsome back inside.
No.
That's my biggest thing. They moved him outside. He's always been a better outside corner. He's been a decent inside corner. I'm not saying he can't play in the slot, because I think he can play fine in the slot. I don't think he's bad in the slot, but he's a better outside corner. And, I got an MJ Emerson jersey, on the wall behind me. So I'm really devastated about that. But this could be an opportunity for Greg Newsome, and it could end up working out for him and the Browns. But I also want to throw Nick Needham's name out there, because he had a pretty decent name to throw out there. But I'm almost wondering if one of those veteran safeties might take a bulk of those slot snaps, because of the quote unquote slot corners, like if I put it in air quotes, I don't have a lot of confidence in any of them.
No.
Other than Newsome.
No. The one in the way I would look at it is, you're probably going to look at Ward and Newsome on your outside. Could you live in a world where you have Delpit and then maybe a Rayshon Jenkins or a KZ next to Delpit, and then you have Ronnie Hickman playing nickel corner? It's not the greatest idea in the world, but it fits in a pinch. It could. Like, the one positive that I would have taken away would have been Lamarian James, and his performance wasn't great, but he could be that guy that could compete for some nickel snaps. But then I think he ended up in the concussion protocol, so now he's going to get pushed back behind the 8-ball a little bit. So if you told me today the starting corners were Ward and Newsome, I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is the nickel corner, because you and I both know how many teams run through wide receiver sets in the NFL. You look at week 1 against Cincinnati, Higgins, Chase, and Burton or Oshivas or whoever they want to run out. That nickel is going to be a problem. And the only real way you might be able to solve it is if you run some sort of 4-2-5 with the 2 corners, and then you run 3 safeties out there. That might be the only way you stay afloat. But I mean, you look at what's out there in free agency, there's some guys. There's like a DJ Reed, there's a Kendall Fuller, but they're full-time outside guys that have moonlighted in the slot, that have the size and the frame and the speed to play in the slot, but that's not their game. It's just like when we say Newsome goes in the slot, it's the same thing with a Reed and a Fuller. So now you're going to have to try to peruse the waiver wire to find you a slot. And here's the one thing that isn't talked about enough in the NFL. If you have a good slot nickel corner, they don't hit free agency. They don't walk out that door because they're hard to find.
They're very hard to find, and you need one. Like, you have to have one. If there's one thing I'm very concerned about after this game, it's that. It's
100%.
Hey, when's the last time you saw a defensive tackle make 3 special teams? I think he had 3 special teams tackles on a kickoff.
Never. But then again, we're talking Aiden Huntington, who I'm pretty sure was a part of the Super Soldier Serum Secret Avengers program. Because we talked about it. You look at his numbers. I mean, you're talking a 10.6 broad jump, it was a 34-inch vertical, a 4.64 40-yard dash at 6 foot, 287 pounds. The way he moves, like, you put him behind. Let's just break down that defensive tackle room. Mason Graham, Malik Collins, Mike Hall when he's healthy, Aiden Huntington. Oh, by the way, you still have Jawan Briggs, who I liked for what it's worth. And then you can even go a little deeper. Maybe say Sam Kamara. Maybe you say Shelby Harris. Maybe you start to move some pieces around some of those edges and slide them inside. But if you told me the defensive tackle rotation was Mason Graham, Malik Collins, Mike Hall, Jawan Briggs, and Aiden Huntington, we could be looking at a defensive line room that probably is going to carry 11 or 12 people and not blink.
It's definitely not going to be less than 10. Like, there's no way it's less than 10. Like, I can see 11. It's just all like, where are you going to pull it from, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But, like, he is a freak athletically. Like, just in the most true definition of it. And I know Pete Smith at the OBR, that's been his dude, man. Like, he's the one that really turned me on to him too, because like after the draft, he was like, this Aiden Huntington guy. And I'm like, really? And then he wrote an article, which of course made me do what I do and be like, let me find some Tulane tape to tear up. Former Kent State Golden Flash, by the way, another former. Yeah. I didn't realize that until somebody said something to me on an article when I graded his performance. I graded the rookies of the OBR. Somebody pointed that out. And that was like two schools ago, so that's why I didn't realize it.
I mean, when you're a defensive tackle and you get an 85 special teams grade from PFF, like, that's a glitch in the matrix. And you find a way to roster that. You find some way somehow to roster that, whether it's take a linebacker, take a corner, take a wide receiver, take a quarterback, something. You find a way to roster it.
I almost wonder if he end up treated as edge 5. Like, I wonder if he ends up being potentially edge 5, because, and Pete Smith highlighted this too, where he's like, well, he could be, if he's so good on the inside too, because he has that flexibility to be outside, inside. If he's so good, they could end up parting ways with the veteran Shelby Harris. But if they want to keep the veteran Shelby Harris, which I think Shelby Harris is still a very good player, he could end up being considered the 5th. They could keep 10 and have Shelby Harris and Aiden Huntington. Like, we say this all the time. It's a good problem to have, the defensive line. I would not want to be the one making final decisions on the defensive line.
No,
I don't think I want that as my job.
No, not at all. Because, I mean, there's still other guys behind them too, like Cameron Thomas, who had a really good game against the Panthers too. Like, you look at it, you're talking and just breaking it down: Alex Wright, Malik Collins, Mason Graham, Myles Garrett, Isaiah McGuire, Shelby Harris, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. That's right there, 8. Mike Hall at 9, and when he's healthy. Julian Okawara, who I talked about in comments on last night's episode, that's 10. Jawan Briggs at 11. Cameron Thomas at 12. Sam Kamara, who's a little underrated, at 13. And then Aiden Huntington at 14.
There's 14 rosterable guys.
Yeah. And you got to probably pare it down to I would say 11 or 12. And if you're going to carry as many quarterbacks, and you're going to carry some depth at corner, and you're going to carry some depth at wide receiver, you got to get to 11 or 12. But I tell you this, you let Aiden Huntington hit the practice squad, you're not getting him back.
Sam Kamara is one of those ones that can probably go to the practice squad because you've had him on the practice squad before. He's probably one of those guys. And you're like, I feel probably comfortable that he gets there. Let's see. Couple other guys. I thought Alex Wright had some good snaps early. Isaiah McGuire had some good snaps. Didn't play a ton. Donovan McMillan, the undrafted free agent safety out of Pitt, he was physical. Had forced a turnover on downs on a play where he was just so sticky in coverage and so physical in that play, and was able to break it up on a 4th down. I thought that was a really good play from him. Going through some of the other names here. You talked about Lamarian James and Jawan Briggs and some guys that had some good games. Mason Graham we talked about. You got anybody else off the top of your head as I continue to scroll down this list?
No, I think we hit everybody on the defensive side of the ball, but I think we got to get to the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to ask me about it. Yeah.
we got to get kicker competition, man. It's got to happen.
The one guy's still there, though, right? Smite?
Smite. I think he's still on the roster, but when you have guys like, and you and I talked about this earlier, Greg Zuerlein, Eddie Pinheiro, those are some names in free agency. People will vilify me for it, but Cade York is still out there in free agency if you want to have some competition. But I truly do believe that Dustin Hopkins still has the yips. He's not corrected from it. And you cannot go into the season with him as your kicker when the whole goal of what the Browns are going to want to do in 2025 is use their defense to keep them in close one-score games and then have a quarterback and an offense that just controls the ball and doesn't turn it over. Well, if you're going to do that, you need to have some reliability as a kicker.
That's what they had in 23.
Yeah, and I don't see it in Dustin Hopkins. You look back at 2022 as well. They went 7-10 that year. 4 games were decided by a field goal or less. That would have been a playoff run.
Yeah. Damn. After 23, man, I really thought we had it. I really thought we were done. I thought we were done with it. I thought that was it. That was over. I thought we were. Yeah, those were only really the big things, like the slot corner, like questions and some depth there at corner overall, and then like the special teams, the kicker situation. Really, the only big questions that got louder to me. Outside of it. Otherwise, there were some guys that are competing for roster spots. Again, this is what I say about the preseason. These are opportunities for especially young guys, and not just young guys, but roster bubble guys to prove that they are worth giving more chances to, more opportunities to in camp and things like that. I expect Shedeur to get more reps because you just really don't know how you justify it not doing it. No. I just, and I like this. I love Kevin Stefanski. I'm still pretty cool with Andrew Berry. I like Kevin way more than I like Andrew Berry, but like I trust Kevin Stefanski because I've seen him get blood out of a stone when it comes to quarterbacks at times. But yeah, no, man, like. He should see an increase in reps or else I've got an issue.
100%. I mean, if you told me tomorrow that you were going to have him as quarterback 2, weren't going to start him, but you give him an increase in reps, I'm fine with that. If you told me tomorrow he was the starter, I'm fine with that. But if you told me tomorrow that you're going to roll into this week versus Philadelphia with the same status quo and giving Pickett and Gabriel significantly more reps than Sanders, we have to have a conversation about what you're evaluating because, listen, I've made no bones about it. I've said for some time that Pickett probably would have been the likely week 1 starter just because of what they gave up to get him. You don't give up all of that.
He was like the first guy they brought in, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Daniel Jones conversation in Indianapolis. You don't spend all that money or you don't spend that capital to bring in a guy and then you cut him. You do it to see what he's got. But the simple fact of the matter is, Dylan Gabriel should not have been a 3rd-round pick. I had him graded as a 6th-round quarterback on my big board. They took him 3 rounds too early.
I had him at 133.
Yeah, I had him somewhere around 175. And if they took him before pick 100, I had Shedeur at 19th, and then he went 144th. But that's neither here nor there. But you can't say that this performance didn't earn him any additional reps because it did. He went out there, not only did he do what you asked him to do, he went out there and did it in a manner that said, hey, we might have something here. Let's give him some more run against a more competitive team.
He needs more development.
Steps up to the plate.
Yeah, he needs more development. Even if it's just a test to see where he's at. Like for example, one thing I love to do in the gym, I like to see my limits, right? Like it's fun every once in a while to be like, okay, how much can I bench? How much can I leg press? And the best way to do it is to deload first. So you kind of a little bit of a light week. So your muscles get really good and rested. You go out there and you test it. And if It fails, then you say, whatever, I go back to what I was doing. If not, I push harder. So if he goes out there and it doesn't, and the increased reps and increased competition doesn't go well for him, put him back to where he is and let him continue to grow.
Yeah.
But if he goes out there and benches 500 pounds all of a sudden, well.
Right. It's the same conversation with baseball too, right? You have a guy who's in AA and he's throwing heaters every week.
He's got a 1 ERA.
Right. He's got a 1 ERA. Kick him up to AAA and see what happens. If he looks like a star, great. If he looks like a AA player, you put him right back down to AA.
It's not that hard. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Next week is actually going to be the last episode of Game Tape, so we'll be back on Monday. There's going to be some programming changes as we go into the season. I've got a lot going on. I'm just not going to be able to swing these episodes. This Wednesday night, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports, is going to join me, top 10 quarterbacks in the 2026 draft. So we're going to do the big one. It's the big granddaddy of them all. And I've got an announcement about the draft show and how it's going to be handled for the college football season. That comes on Wednesday. Tomorrow, make sure you check out Jeff Lloyd at 6 p.m. with Browns 3D. Brad and Pete will be there with the React at 7. And Bill, we appreciate you so very much, man. Tell everybody where they can find your stuff before we get out of here.
Absolutely. So you can find all of my content over on X at Spark Scouting. I cover NFL, NFL Draft, and college football as well.
Wrestling.
And as well as wrestling. I always keep forgetting that. As well as pro wrestling. You can also find me as a writer and analyst for all of those sports at the Right Way Sports Network. That's TWSN.net. I'm known around these parts when it comes to NFL draft as the comp king, as I've got a big board graded with 425 prospects, and every single one of them has a comp. So follow me over on X at Spark Scouting. Let's chop it up. I'm also an analyst for the Draft Professor Network, which is over on YouTube at NFL Draft Fanatic, no I in Fanatic. I go live on Wednesday nights, either 7 or 9 p.m. This week, as we air this one, we're going to cover, do injuries and medical history have any impact on the recent second round guarantee and what that could look like for drafts moving forward. So make sure you go tune into that one.
I made my return to Draft Professor this past Saturday. And this coming Saturday on Draft Professor, I will be doing the Week 0 preview show with Anthony Russo. We're going to preview the Week 0, which is not this coming weekend, but the next weekend is Week 0 in college football. So we're doing a preview show for that. So that's going to be cool.
We said at the top of the hour, we're back.
I about said a word that Barry says I can't say. All right, guys. I appreciate you all very, very much. We will see you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check us out, theobr.com. We will see you guys again next time.